going to be making a different kind of video. Most of my videos have been actually all of my videos have been time-lapse videos. This one I was planning on doing a tutorial video, and today my how-to drawing video is going to be on how to draw hands in general. I feel like people who aren't really into art always have trouble with this, or even people who are into art, because hands are just really difficult to recreate. So the first thing that I recommend, I'm pretty sure you've heard this before, is look at your own hand. Like, look at the shapes. Look at the way that it reacts to light. Maybe how thick your fingers are. Hands can vary. Like, there are a bunch of different hands. So I'm going to start out with basic hands. This isn't for every art style, but for example, like cartooning, I feel like you need to know the basics before you can actually start creating your own style. So these are just the basics. So what I like to start out with just drawing a hand, this is just going to be like a top view, is a pentagon, kind of like this. If you look at your hand, you can kind of see right here the center shape. It's like a pentagon. Your middle finger would probably be at the point where it gets the highest. Then I would build like a triangle off. Well, like if you notice, it's not like going all the way to here. It just stops right here. So you draw like a triangle like that, right? So then next, which is pretty simple, if you just look at your hand and build like a sausage basically, but try to fit it as close to possible as your thumb shape. So like you could add a cylinder. That's probably the best way to start figuring out how to do three-dimensional work, is starting with cylinders. So you could do that with all the fingers. And notice the pointer and the ring finger are the same height, and the middle finger is taller. I see a lot of people just making all the fingers the same height, and something just always looks wrong. So yeah, and then the pinky's obviously the shortest. The thumb is about as long as the pinky, but I pretty sure that can vary with many people. I would just use that measurement. So then for the pointer, you build right off this. I usually add circles for the knuckles. If you don't fit the shape exactly, it depends how you draw your proportions. Like, see, that doesn't look completely like the pentagon, but it just sets it up nicely. I'm drawing this section right here, the pointer finger, and really the best way to draw anything from real life, or really any picture, is to relate it to the things around it. So like the distance between here and here is that, so then like this is about the same as that, right? So and then the middle finger right next to it, it's not necessarily in the center, but it's closer to the middle than any other finger. So again, it's about the same height of the little knuckle, the first knuckle thing. And so build right off that knuckle. Again, it's higher than this. So then we're going to go on to the ring finger, like first segment knuckle, and it's going to be the same height as the pointer. Then the pinky is pretty short actually. It's like right here if you look at your hand. It's like the first segment's like down here. So I didn't draw the pentagon exactly right. So yeah, see, it's already starting to look like your hand. Obviously, these are just the basic shapes to figure out how to draw a hand. Eventually, if you get good enough, you won't need to do all the shapes. You can probably just draw it from memory. Don't be discouraged if you can't do it right away, or if your hand doesn't look exactly perfect right on your first try. So then, if you know, like right here, it's not perfectly straight like that. It's kind of rounded. Or at least with my hand, I don't know about anyone else's, but I don't think it's perfectly straight. So you round it off, and you can add the wrist, I guess. This is just a hand video, but you do have a wrist bone. So then also you have tendons going along, but you don't really need to be super dramatic with them. Most comic books have those sort of hands, but not. This isn't a comic book. This is just basics. Now I'm adding like the knuckles. You don't necessarily have to add like these top knuckles. but it is helpful, I think. So then right here, this section is what I'm drawing next. A little bit shorter than the other one, and the fingers start to taper off at the end. Like, they don't completely go thin, but they do get smaller and smaller as you go up. If you just look at your own finger, or most fingers get a little bit smaller. So yeah, I'm drawing the middle knuckle right here. On the it's always going to be higher, so never make them the same height, but always make these ones the same height. I might have just bumped the camera. No, we're good. Okay. And then the pinky. The pinky, its last section is pretty short. So pinky, I think I might have made too long, but that works right there. Also, in between your fingers, you can see it. If you stretch your fingers out wide, it's not like just in, square, out. It's curved. So when you draw them, you draw them with the curve. And with the thumb, there's like an extra thing right there. Usually you draw some knuckles when you're final product stage. Oh, also, you wouldn't usually be drawing a hand this dark while you're drawing normally, unless you want it to be, unless you're trying to show all the shapes, because it would look weird if your hands always had these circles and stuff. So you probably want to draw it lighter and then build your hand off of that, because this isn't even detail work. Sure, it has the same shape, but you kind of need like the nails, the lines to convey the message, because you could also make it like palm up like this. So yeah, you really need to add that detail to convey the message. And then the last section of the finger is the shortest. I've seen people that they go like that, but that's not how your finger looks. Yeah, so you could just draw a circle on the end, and that would be the proper shape. So that's just the basic hand. Obviously, not every hand you're going to be drawing is in that straight thing. So when drawing it at angle, for example, here I'll draw an angle, like facing this way, like towards the front of the paper, you can draw it in three-dimensional form, like this. It's harder to do. It might take a lot of practice, but see, like, it's just this facing this way. So then you can add all the knuckles, all the fingers. Also, when drawing the cylinders for the fingers, you also have to accommodate for like the foreshortening, it's called. Some people probably know that. People might not. It's when an object looks distorted when it comes towards you, when it's moving in the direction of you. When drawing the fingers in a direction, you draw a cylinder. It's really, really helpful. And when you're adding details, you can draw like the skin ridges, right? It's really helpful to have lines that show the three-dimensional thing. It conveys the message a lot more. Like, without the lines, it would kind of just look very plain, and it wouldn't look very interesting at all. And remember, your hand isn't just a box either. You have knuckles, you have things that ridge out, and your hands aren't perfectly your fingers aren't perfectly cylinders either. So you need to add those things, like the knuckle ridges or anything. Not so much on this, but on here, it's kind of big to convey the message. Also, the thumb is if you look at it sideways, it's lower than the main part of your hand. So you wouldn't see it like that. You wouldn't see it up there. You probably wouldn't even see it that much in this picture at all. So that's just like the basic knuckles. You could draw the hand in every position with this basic shape. You could draw any direction. It's super helpful. So what I recommend is practicing just drawing the shape in three-dimensional different directions, and then slowly work your way, like just drawing this to get that 3D, and then eventually add this, and then eventually you could go into like different poses, like all bent up, and you could do it from your imagination. Also, when drawing a fist, you can just draw a sideways rectangle, and because if you just look at your hand, it doesn't really matter. You could do it like this too. It depends which way you want to do it. But you draw that, and all your fingers will go like this. But your middle finger always goes up top, so like that. And then this kind of gets scrunched up, and then so does your thumb. So the thumb goes up. I see a lot of mistakes. I see people going like this, drawing it like this, where the thumb's over there, but you actually don't see the thumb like this. You just see the fist. Like that. And drawing a fist like this, the thumb goes pretty much up, and then to the side, just underneath the main front knuckle. So, like this. And your thumb kind of has like the upward thing. So, instead of just drawing it like a circle before, you go up, and it's flat on the top. And there's plenty of ways to exaggerate a fist. And when drawing, you can make it bigger, like comic book characters. There's always this, like the fold. I don't know what to call it. And then there's always this, because you're not just like going straight from the wrist to make a fist. That rhymed. It goes out like that, kind of like that, and your fist no longer is the same size as this. You no longer keep that shape because it's like bending. This part right here is going down. So you draw all the knuckles, right? The middle one's going to be higher. So I like to just draw the knuckles. They're super helpful. And also the pinky, when you make a fist, doesn't go straight down either. Kind of goes in. It's weird. So this scrunches up. This goes down. The fingertips go in, so you can't even see them anymore. This goes kind of downward. This goes kind of downward too. It looks kind of like a fist. I mean, that's what I'm trying to. So, when drawing hands, or really anything, you really want to stick to shapes. I mean, if you watch any other drawing videos, you'd know how many times people say this. It might get annoying sometimes, but it's like you really need to. It helps so much. When drawing, my fist kind of looks a little messed up. Sorry, guys. When drawing, you really want to look for the shapes. So yeah, that's the basics. That's the basics on hands. There's really not much more I could say. Comment down below if you like. Leave a like on the video, obviously. And if you want to see more tutorial videos, also comment down below. I think I was going to do faces, how to set up a face anyways. Draw faces and how to draw heads and stuff like that. Comment down below if you want to see that. That'd be really helpful.